What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So welcome to Friday's episode. So if you have not already, please go back throughout the week. So Monday and Tuesday are topics. So Monday we discussed a Apple vulnerability that hopefully you've already patched out. If you own a iPhone or iPad that's a 8th generation or above. I forget what iPads like. There's so many different variations of iPad, but all of them. So definitely check to see if you have an update pending and update your systems, and then tune in to us to find out what all that's about. Then Tuesday, we discussed how Apple is getting more. Uh, I would say not aggressive. I think that's the wrong word for it, but being more proactive in security, and they're pushing out kits, things of that nature. So check us out for all that good information about how Apple is uh, helping security, I guess, analysts and hackers and things of that nature uh, help break their systems and get paid for it. So definitely check that out. Then Wednesday we talk about how cyber crime is now going to be cyber. I should say the effects of cyber activities can be considered war crimes and how you can now be punished for them. So I think it's a long about way of saying you might go to jail. So definitely check that one out. This if you're interested, but also if you are a nefarious hacker that likes to get involved in war, that might be a good one for you to check out as well. So definitely check out that discussion. And then Thursday, I'm not sure if this past one was an Ask a CISSP or a throwback Thursday, but either way, check out our Thursday content. So now we're going to try to make that a slot that's always has some kind of content in it. And then now you're tuned in to Friday, which is everything else. So movies, books, games, TV shows, all that good stuff. But with that being said, how was your week, Shannon?
It was good, man. I can't complain. This weekend, my wife went out. She celebrated with one of her friends. Well, a few of the ladies celebrated with one of her friends a surprise birthday party. So she was out of pocket, and I had the younger two with me. So we did a lot of eating out, right? Because dad don't cook. That's how it is. The arrangement is that
There it is.
mom makes it, I eat it. That's how it goes. So if she ain't here, I'm like, all right, kids, what do y'all want for dinner? What do y'all want for lunch? Right. So we had some time going out and doing that. Took them to the movies, went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It was better than I thought it was going to be. It's actually funny.
Okay.
Uh, it was pretty funny, not overly vulgar, right? There's some gross stuff in it, right? But
Right. I was gonna say Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, yeah,
Yeah.
there's some gross stuff in it.
But
Yeah, but it's
it's a Nickelodeon property now.
right. So like it's Seth Rogen, but they're not talking about smoking weed or anything like that, right?
Right.
Because that's kind of the wheelhouse, right? Like they're not doing anything like that. But no, it was actually pretty funny. Like in the beginning, I was like, all right, I can catch a nap here. The kids will be right here. I'll be all right. You know what I mean? I started to doze a little bit, and my daughter kind of looked over at me and touched me a little bit. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm awake. I'm awake. You know what I mean? But
Right.
it was funny. It was funny because it's like it's them as teenagers, really, right? Like young teenagers, not like when you see them in the movies, they seem like grown adults. You know what I mean? Even though
Right.
they're teenage mutant ninja turtles, like they don't look teenage in the movies. You know what I mean? At least the old movies that we used to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're ripped.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like puberty for turtles is awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
But but like they're like young, but just like some of the stuff they do and say in there, it's just it's hilarious. But it's a good movie. I would say check it out if you got some young children, not too young, maybe, right? Because it's PG, it's rated PG, so you don't want to
Right.
be like if you. My daughter was 5, so I was like, we'll see what happens, right? If I gotta walk her out, I gotta walk her out. That's what it is, right? Like still,
Right.
I'm like stay right there. We're gonna be down here, but no, that was pretty fun. Video game wise, not much. I'm trying to like Madden, and I'm just not. I don't know what it is, man. Like I can't get into it like I used to. You know what I mean? And it could just be,
Gotcha.
I don't know. I'm sick of the same stuff over and over again, right? Like y'all definitely need to open this up for competition in
So
NFL.
I agree with you. And then RJ, so Ryan Jr., he bought 2K, and then he basically bought 2K, and then he dropped enough money to have bought 2K again in VC. So I don't know if opening it up is going to be advantageous to us because like who is it? Take Two? Like who publishes 2K. I think it's Take-Two. Uh, they're all about the money. Visual Concepts, right? Isn't that the developer?
I'm not sure.
I think Take-Two is the publisher,
Uh,
but I think it's Visual Concepts is the developer. I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like it'll look prettier. The mechanics might be better, but then if you try to do anything to do with your custom player, you're gonna have to drop that VC money.
See, but that's the thing with me though, is like I don't do that. Like I want the realism when it comes to sports games, right? So like I'm not doing a creative player or anything like that, right? Like the only thing I'm gonna adjust is like the equipment they might wear. I'll be like, oh, well, they don't wear that in real life, right? Let's take that wristband off, something like that, maybe, right?
Right.
And I don't put a lot of time into that. So I want the realism of give me the stats, give me, all their abilities, you know what I mean? Like Lamar needs to be fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't make him like a 70 speed, like he's zooming by people on the field. Make that happen. Like I don't know. I need it to be and like last year, every time they updated the game, like this some old glitch or some old thing that I did not like would come back. And I was just not a fan of that. So
Mhm.
I don't want to see that again because I know they've done like 2 updates already to the game that were not like roster updates. So I'm like the season barely started, right? Thursday was the
Right.
first game, and like you guys already had 2 updates to the game because it's like, oh, different functionality things and things of that nature, like major glitches that people are just like, why is this still happening? You got
Right.
to be
Right.
past this by now. So,
Well, I mean, they only have like a 10 or 11 month dev cycle is the problem. Like
but
because they
you know
can't
what's
switch
funny?
off. Is like if they could just update the roster every other year, I think it would be a better product. But then they wouldn't make $70 every
Yeah.
year off each copy, right? So I'm not defending. I think it's Tiburon Studios. Like they've been making the same game for like 20 years, 30 years. So I'm not defending that. But I think if they were to be given time to work on the engine, at least they can create new bugs. Like you said, it wouldn't be the same bugs year after year after year. Um, I'm not a fan because I suck at it. I've been bad at Madden my entire life. And this one, like I swear, like the ground game, I can understand. Anytime Josh Allen throws the ball, it's interception. Anytime. I'm Josh Allen in this in this game. I cannot throw the ball without getting a pick every single time. I legitimately I think I played the Bengals last weekend and like ground game, I was getting to the end zone, right? I was moving the ball, and then I was dropping the icons, and I was running the Josh Allen. As soon as I put it in the air, it was a pick every time. Every single time. I'm just like, every read can't be bad. Or if it is, I just like, why can't the CPU take this over? Like, you throw the ball. I want to enjoy myself. But yeah, RJ bought 2K I want to say a couple days ago, and then because it's all out of his allowance, right? Like you earned it, you do what you want to do with it. So he bought 2K, and then he turned right around and dropped $50 in VC currency in it. I was like, you just spent 100 and what is it,
It's like
130?
120, 130, yeah,
Yeah,
something
you
like
spent 130 on this game. I'm a big proponent. I always say charge what the game's worth. Like if you just charge me up front, I'll be okay with it. That's not what they're doing. Like he had to pay, or he didn't have to, but he decided to pay the $50. I think it's like 200,000 VC or whatever is what you get for $50 to make his character NBA worthy. Right? Like, how did you make it to the league and you can't dribble, you can't pass, you can't shoot? Right? Like you sold me a game with stuff missing on purpose to get me to buy more into it. And he's gonna have to spend more. Like that didn't make his character all 100s. That just made him good enough to be able to take him to I think it's like the playground or whatever, where he can play against other people. It's ridiculous.
that, but they're making money. That's a good business model. That's the thing, right? So like even though it's a sports game, like they don't care about the sport, right? Like
Yeah.
they want the business part of it, right? They only care that they're bringing in money and it's profitable.
Yeah. And it looks pretty. It plays realistically when you're playing as actual characters who are real people, right? Like so if you're playing as an actual athlete, their stats make sense. You can play as them. I don't enjoy the realism. Like I want to be able to just shoot from half court as anybody, right? I want to master the mechanics of the game because it's a video game. I don't want the realism. I don't want it. So my fear is that they open it up, and I think it's Visual Concepts gets a license as well. They make a beautiful football game that plays really well, but then they on the back end it's all currency and all the other stuff.
But doesn't EA do the same thing with Madden now though? Like I think, like I'm not sure, right? You have to pay for like the different Madden cards
Right,
and
and the Ultimate Team and all that stuff. Like
yeah,
they make more money off of that stuff than they do off the actual game. Yes. Like,
yeah.
and I think that's across the board, right? Like Call of Duty does it, 2K's doing it, Madden's doing it. Like anybody who Fortnite, all that stuff. Like you make a product that's good enough to get people in the door, and then if you want to do the other cool stuff, then we're going to charge you on the back end. I get it. Uh, so it may solve the problem, right? Like you get a good game with a good engine, and then you and I are not their target audience to make. They're only gonna make the one purchase, right? You're gonna get the $70 from us, and they're gonna keep it moving. But then you have the younger crowd, or just people who just like that extra stuff, who are gonna give them 130, 200. Like they're just gonna keep making money off of this product. So I can't knock the hustle, but I'm not gonna participate.
So
So
you can knock the hustle then. So you
I respect it.
in this instance, you are not Jay-Z, or you cannot.
Right. So we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, I do think they need to come up off that license because they're just making an inferior product year after year after year. But I'm also really bad at the game, so I can't really judge it off of that. I have to go off of your opinion, really, because I just terrible at Madden. This is not
I
my
was
thing.
I was down here the other day, and my wife was sitting next to me, and I like it's to the point like we are in this generation where we should not be seeing these things. Like I had a ball that I went for the interception because I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I went for the interception, like I stopped the replay because they caught it and continued running. The ball was in my arm, like in
Mm,
my defender's arm. As I was going for the interception, the ball, like I stopped the replay. It was through my arm. I was like, at least knock it down. Like, don't let
right,
it go through my arm. They catch it behind me, right? And then start running some more. I'm like,
right, right.
why are we still here? Why are we still at that point? Collision
Yeah.
detection? Y'all can't figure that out on this beautiful generation of
Right,
console?
you have all this horsepower, right? And
Yeah,
what are you doing with it? Making individual blades of grass? Like
yeah,
what's happening here?
yeah.
So yeah, I honestly don't. I honestly I don't want to defend them, but their dev cycle is so short. I just think they just like, hey, what? Here's a list of new things we need to add. Here's, I guess they probably have a team that works on all the stats, like adjusting all the characters and what have you. Here's a team that's scanning faces, which always look wrong. Josh Allen does look like Josh Allen, though. I give that. But some characters just you like, yo, were they not there on scanning day? Like, what? Why is this person like a Play-Doh?
They, they definitely have their standard like faces for a lot of these players, man. Like I'm like, this does not look like them, but like you can look at them like if you ever so like I just do different franchises and whatnot, and I'll
Yeah,
pick different teams. So if I go to make edits to like position or things of that nature, like you could see like they'll have the helmet off when you're doing these different edits, and you're just like, that looks like there are five guys on this team that look like that. You
right.
look, the high top fade, and then the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on here? Like, this is not.
Yeah, so I do give it to again I keep saying Visual Concepts. I hope that is the right developer for it. But like the 2K team, I give it to them. Like that Steph Curry look like Steph Curry. Like their scans are ridiculous. Like photorealistic. Like these people look like these people. So they do a really good job at that. And now they've gotten past the weird sweat mechanics, right? Remember when the character started sweating and it just would be like a downpour? So they've worked it out where it looks like individual beads of sweat. Like the game looks amazing. It's too realistic for me. Like I remember a time where I think it was NBA Live was my thing because NBA Live was very unrealistic. Right, Shaq was shooting free. He was able to hit free throws, but he was shooting from half court, and I love that game. Like that was my jam. Like I just because you once you got the mechanic down, like you feather the trigger to a certain point, you let go, and then it was like perfect shot. Like I would run up the score, man. I'd be beating the CPU by like 100 points. When then the realism came in. Everybody wanted everything to be realistic. Now look at us.
That's what I want, man. That's what I want.
So, but yeah, so we'll see. Like sooner or later, EA is gonna have to come up off of that license. I don't know when the next contract negotiation is because I remember at one point they bought it for 10 years. It's got to be coming up on 10 years or past it by now.
I think they only have like a year or two left on their current deal, to where it's like if they didn't re-up it. And it could have got past me that they re-upped it, right? But
Yeah.
um I think it's only like a year or two. And like I remember there was like a swell of people that were just like, NFL, do not just let EA have it by themselves again. Like that we've had enough. Like we can't keep like people are saying we've had enough, but then it goes on to make all this money every year when it comes out because they're the only game in town.
Yeah, that's it. Or because there's not even anything bootleg anymore. Like remember they used to have that off-brand because there was a one called I think Gridiron came out and it looked amazing, but all the characters were not real
Yeah,
people, right? So people don't want to play that.
yeah.
They want to play as their franchise with their favorite characters, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that for sports games anyway, because you don't necessarily want a team of de facto characters. It's just not fun. Can't attribute that associated with it's the season. So I get that part, but then EA came in with that massive money, like it's truckloads. It was a Brinks truck worth of money came in. It said, "Give me that license." So that's what you get. So, but I think like because MLB is not playing that anymore, right? So baseball is opening up their licensing. I would assume the NBA still did. It's just that or what was it? NBA Live tried to come back and it was just mechanically not sound. So that quickly got canceled, didn't come back.
Yeah,
So
those developers went over to Madden. That's what happened.
they went to Tiburon. So I can see it opening back up. And if anybody's going to jump in, it's going to be Visual Concepts or whomever makes 2K. And then you at least have two shows going, two different engines, and we see which one plays out better. But they were getting them last time. Like I remember Dreamcast, I think it was either 20 or $30. They were charging half the price Madden was, and it was better mechanically. They were eating them up. So they had no choice but to acquire the license. But that's over 10 years ago. So they had to have re-up by then several times. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Um, but to get off Madden talk, right? So it's a shift off Madden talk. So you saw Teenage Mutant Turtles. I've not seen it yet. Junior did. He really enjoyed it as well. So that's two people who've told me they really liked it. So I probably had to jump on that myself. Any other movies or TV shows?
Not really. Um, Not really much else in that regard. I watched a little bit of college football yesterday, but I went out with the children. We did the lunch and the movie. And I took them to a candy shop. It's got like these old candies and stuff like that and
Okay.
like crazy stuff. Like I got my son some sodas. So like he sends us an Amazon wish list of stuff that he wants. And so I got him some sodas that were bacon flavored, buffalo wing sauce flavored, and the other one I think was ranch
Uh,
for him to
sounds,
try.
I don't know if I want that in soda form.
That's what he wanted, man. Like he wanted to give it a shot. So last night when he came home from work, he was like, the bacon one, he was like, tastes just like bacon. He's like, there's a little bit of a hint of like root beer or cream soda
Right.
in there. He said, but it's like you took some bacon off the pan, man. He was like,
Okay.
that's pretty realistic. I was like, all right, well, I was like, when you try the other two, let me know. Like that buffalo wing sauce, I'm like, I don't know.
It's gonna
Like
be spicy, spicy pop.
I'm
Like
like, yeah, like put it on some wings for sure, but yeah,
right,
I
right.
don't know about drinking it. So did that as well with them. My younger son got a giant gummy shark, Ryan. Like this thing was like, if I
Okay.
guess it's probably like a foot long. Like it's actually wrapped in the package to where it like curves a little bit. If I was to spread that thing out, it'd probably be close to 18 inches if I was to lay it flat.
You're
It's
gonna be bouncing off the wall.
he ain't eating it all at once. I told him he will not sit down and eat that in one
Like
sitting.
we'll cut this up for you
Yeah,
in the proper portions.
like you take the tail this point, like we gonna do that.
Right.
Like there's no way. But I let him have free reign, right? I told him before we walked in, I was like, if there's anything too ridiculous, like just no, I'm gonna put
Right.
the
Like one of those big
back.
gummy bears. You ever seen one of those like
Yeah,
5 pound gummy bears?
they didn't have any of those in there, but they had some that were like foreign, like they were in a foreign language or whatnot, which I bought some gummies. Like gummies is my thing, right? So like I bought some gummies, but I was like, I don't know what this says, but hopefully it's some good German gummies I'm about to partake.
Okay. Gotcha. You gotta be careful though. You live over in the Colorado.
I know, you're right. You're
Gotta
right.
read that pack. Like use the Google Translate on that package. I doubt it, right? There'll
Yeah,
probably be something on the door that was like, hey, listen, we sell this too.
right, man.
You
Thank
be
you.
I ate an arm and I can't get up.
why why is my TV moving towards me?
Thing sinking into the
Like,
floor. I don't
yeah.
know why. Is that a feature?
Yeah, you're right. I might want to do that. Take a picture of that and be like, Google, tell me what this says.
It like hi gummies.
I'll be like,
It'd
oh,
be like
no.
hi chew gummies.
Like, yeah, I like hot chew, but no, not
Yeah,
this. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
that's hilarious.
I definitely do that before I go ahead and eat them. You know.
Yeah, that's so I was in the Netherlands. I took a trip to Brunson. So we stopped through Amsterdam. I was scared to buy anything. I was like, because every shop had an icon on it. I think it was like a cannabis leaf on every shop. So I was like, I can't buy anything here because I don't know what they may have, integrated into one of these things. So I was just taking pictures, walking around taking pictures of people. I think I told you a story where I was in during I was it was broad daylight, so it was like noon. Like we landed in the morning. We went to Amsterdam like around noon because Brunson's like another hour outside of that. It's like more rural. There you go. Area that had a conference that I was attending. So we walked through the red light district during the day, right? So all the shops are really closed. Like uh, but you can see all of they're like hotels and they have all glass fronts, right? Where they put people on display. It's really crazy, right? Like the stuff you see on TV is real. That's like so I'm walking through and I'm taking pictures of stuff and like I'll never be here again, right? So I want to capture I doubt I ever go back, but I wanted to capture all that stuff. Um so I thought there was a mannequin in the window because she was not moving at all, not even an inch. So I was like, that's crazy. And it's like noon, right? So I go to pull my camera up to take a picture and she shifts and looks at me like, don't do that. I was like, oh, it's a person. And sure enough, some dude walked up to the glass, like waved at her, and then she went, I guess like there's a back door. She went through the back door. She greeted him at the front door. I was like, oh, I'm out of here. Like,
I am not here for
hey,
this.
bro, it's 1 o'clock
Yeah.
it was like a Sunday. And then what's crazy though is they have churches in there too, right? So like you go around the corner and there's a whole church right there. Like, so I was like, it's like when you see a liquor store and a church too close to each other. That was the same thing. I was like, these should not be within visual distance of each other. But yeah, I didn't buy any food. I did not buy there. I was like, nope. I wait till I get to Brunson before I acquire any food or anything. Now give me hemmed up.
Look, you out here talking about how they shouldn't be doing that stuff on the Sunday. Look, man, the Lord may have rested on the seventh day, but they will not.
But it's 1 o'clock.
They understand.
What you
They
It's
know.
like you starting your day. You went and got some breakfast. Now you're gonna go buy a person. It's crazy. Like it's crazy. But I guess it's ethnocentric of me, right? I'm judging another culture by my own metric. Like you do what you do. But that lady, if I took the picture, that bouncer would have came out probably socked me out. Took my phone. Because on the glass it says do not take pictures, but that's because there's people, right? So like, yeah, we don't want to take pictures of people. Like I get that, but I was like, that's a mannequin. Like that's just a display to show you what it's gonna look like at night. Like, nah, she's like sea crew. She's the morning shift. I was like, I'm out of here. But aside from like beautiful though, like that whole area is beautiful. Like lots of water. Like it was just like being in a movie is what it looked like. Like I was like, it's pretty cool. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, you and your giant gummy.
Well, my son's gummy, but like the ones that I bought, yeah, I definitely got to Google Translate those things, make sure.
Right,
Yeah, because it
right.
was like some gummies that had like it looked like cream filled, like in the middle, like when you eat those like cow tails, you know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
no, I'm talking about yeah,
Yeah, it kind of looks
the
like that.
caramel with the stuff in the middle. Yep,
Yeah, yeah. So I was
gotcha.
like, I'll give that a shot.
That's the heroin.
I,
That's
I know that's
it's the
what I
the
think it is.
opiate in the middle. Nah, I can't.
That's what I think it is, and then I OD on it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, like
poppy gummies.
yeah.
We laid out. Um, so I mentioned to you, so I started a documentary. I started BS High on
Mhm.
Max. It's crazy. Like I highly recommend. I've only watched half of it, but it's fascinating how people there's people out there, there's outliers out there, right? Deviants in society, people who just like if it's not a law, then it's not against the law. And that's his mindset. So as they interview the dude who was the coach of the team of the school that didn't exist, they made it all the way to a televised football game on ESPN with IMG. Um, like just the stuff he did to get there is, crazy. Like he admits to committing a bunch of crimes. But there's some stuff where they bring it up. They're like, that's just common sense to not do that. And he's just like, show me the law that I broke. And they're like, well, you didn't. Like that's just not what adults do. And he was like basically he's the reason that they make laws. Is his type of person, right? Just the people who are just like out there on the fringes. But like he it's weird. Like he's the reason why my undergrad is in psychology. Like I study that type of mind. Like how do you think that that's okay? Um, and he does. That's what's so crazy about it. And for him to show up to the interview is even crazier. For you to sit here and confess to your crimes, like, bro, you wild. And it's interesting to see a con man, like typically if you see like people of this target their own communities, right? But he targeted the mouse. He made it all the way to ESPN. You typically don't see that. You don't see people of color who make it to that caliber of con manism. And that's just fascinating to me. Like because as they're interviewing people, they're just like he's just so charismatic. Because that's usually the type, right? The very charismatic people, very smart people. He's able to make all these moves, like moves that $1 million companies can't make. He's making them and getting the kids to the big game,
So do so
all
do
with
the
no backing.
so do the children know that they're not legit?
Some of them, because
Okay.
as they interview them, like some of them are legitimately like they came from bad circumstances or poverty, and they're trying to get their grades up and potentially get to a D, because he's selling them the dream that they're going to go to a D1. Like you play for me, you're going to a D1. Like I have all this backing and all these people. Like obviously our schedule has IMG in it, so you win, lose or draw, like you're performing, getting tape, yada yada yada. But as it progresses, you start to see that some of them start to figure it out. Like I've not been to class. Like this doesn't make any sense, but I'm also a kid. I'm not going to tell you, hey, I need to go to school. Um, and then the other ones, like there's some kids that play for JUCO that you're like, you shouldn't be playing in this league. But again, sold them a dream. So like I got to that part. I got to the part where they're the game before the IMG game. So before the exposure, right? And then there is a journalist in there that has a really good quote. He was like, you can only get so much exposure before you are exposed, and that is where he flew too close to the sun.
The Icarus reference was what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. Yeah.
he flew too close to the sun. So it's fascinating. So I hope to finish that today. Movie wise, like, did I watch any movies? I don't think I watched anything because we talked about the blackening. We talked about I think I finished Superman, my Adventure Superman, the anime cartoon. Like it's a cartoon inspired by anime. I made it to the 10th episode, which feels like a finale, but it doesn't specifically say like to be continued or anything like that. So I'm just like, is this the finale or is there another episode coming out next week? So that I'm not sure of. But good stuff. And I think I talked to you about how Jimmy Olsen is they recast them or they colorblind cast them or however you want to say it, right? So Jimmy is black in this one. And somebody brought up like the internet brought up a really good point that they're recasting redheads. Like redheads are now black characters, and I think I like it. It's also fascinating. Like, why are you picking all the redheads? Like the Little Mermaid, Starfire, Jimmy Olsen, like all these characters that are redheads primarily are now black characters. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And I like his character has more, like it really is him, Lois, and Superman are all main characters of the cartoon. And it's just a really different take on Superman. So I'm really enjoying it because you know me, I'm a Superman hater. So I like this take, which means that everyone else will probably hate it. So that's probably what's gonna go down with it. I played Starfield. So I played Starfield for maybe 3 or 4 hours. So it's new hotness, right? Just dropped. Everybody's buzzing over it. I think it's had over 6 million concurrent players. So it's only on Xbox Series X and S and PC. And it is like it was a very hyped game. It's been in the making for like 6 years. It's the first new franchise by Bethesda in 25 years because they're the makers of Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and all that good stuff. So it's their take on space. Um, I like it. I didn't really get that deep into the systems. RJ played a little bit more than me. We counted a big bug. So it auto saves a lot. And apparently on the Series X, maybe even S, I'm not sure, it only has 7 save spots. And if it auto saves, it doesn't have the logic to say that there's already a save there. So it just overwrites saves, like manual or not. It'll just keep overwriting saves. So I deleted his character unbeknowingly. Thought I did it. I thought I made a mistake, and then he started playing again. Then he overwrote my character, and then that's when we Googled it and found out like, no, this is a issue that they're trying to patch out. Uh, so he has moved on to 2K. He's like, you got sticks until they fix it. So I created another character. So I'm probably like another 2 hours. Uh, and I'm enjoying it, right? It has that they call it Bethesda jank, where the systems are so big and and mechanics are it's like 6 games in one. So it has weird issues that pop up, right? Because you can pretty much do anything you want to do in this type of game. But it still has some of the old school stuff where characters don't quite look right. Like if you make a character, the character creator is amazing. You make the person look just like a real person. If they create a main character for you to interact with, looks amazing. If it's an NPC, just a rando character, look like Play-Doh. Like they just do not look good.
No real effort put into that, huh?
Right. Yeah. It kind of breaks the realism. And then a lot of the planets, because there's like over 1,000 planets in it, a lot of them are procedurally generated. So if me and you play the same game, we won't necessarily see the same things on a planet. So that's kind of weird as well, which is it's cool, but it's not at the same time because you don't get a lot of you get a lot of water cooler talk for the stuff that they built. You don't for the stuff that they didn't build, right? Like you just show up to you can search 50 planets and not find anything on them, right? So it's kind of like depends on what you're going for. Like I like that, but a lot of people are just like, I want more of a curated experience. So it's been kind of getting knocked in that category as well. But I can see myself playing like so I think they say the campaign's like maybe 30, 40 hours, but the rest of it's 130 hours. So it's like a 200-hour game if you want to do everything. And then there's like a new game plus element that just keeps it going and whatnot. So they say you can really be lost in this thing for the rest of the year. Um, so I think it's going to be what takes me out of Zelda. And then I'm going to go back to Zelda. At some point, I'm going to beat Zelda. I'm going to go back. But I think I needed something else to kind of, I need some new mechanics. I need to, do something different. So I think that'll be this game. Um, it's just, it's not a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It's basically what it is. It's like, it's an 8. It's good. Maybe even great, I'd say. But it's not like Tears of the Kingdom is masterpiece. That's a 10 out of 10 game. Put it out there.
But you have the Zelda bias, though. You've already admitted to that. Like
I
you,
do, I do, I do. But I think I honestly think it's going to be still game of the year. Like I think it came out early enough where there could be recency bias that knocks it out. There could be a Baldur's Gate 3. There could be a Starfield game of the
Spider-Man,
year. Could be
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, it could be Spider-Man coming out in October. Could be game of the year. Uh, but I don't think any. I think all of them are doing amazing things. But Zelda does everything amazing. I'm just gonna put it out there. So we'll see. We'll see what the unfolds for the year. But I think Zelda's more of a game of generation on inferior hardware, right? Like these other systems should be blown out of the water, and Zelda's doing things that they can't do. I'm just putting it out there. So we'll see what the future holds on that one. But what I wanted to talk to you about, like I guess to cap it off, is Switch 2 rumors. Like, have you seen this?
Only when you talk to me about it, like when
Yeah,
you
you're not because you're not a Switch
no.
guy right now, right?
My
But
children have it. My
yeah,
children have it, but I
it's in
don't.
the household, but it's not your main gaming console is your PS5.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So out of Gamescom, what they're saying is that there's rumors being cooperated by some really big gaming websites, right? So like if a big game site says it, like typically like because Forbes is a big game site, so they haven't weighed in yet. So once they weigh in, once Forbes drops their article, then it'll be 100% true. But there's other big game websites that focus mostly on gaming. They're saying that during Gamescom there was closed door sessions where they showed off Switch 2 hardware to developers. Like, hey, this is coming out mid to late next year. We need to start like basically dev kits are going to start going out, but here is a taste of what is it can happen with this new what we believe to still be a handheld hybrid type situation, right? They're not going to stray too far away from the Switch. because it's been a money maker. Like they've been making crazy loot, and even though it's underpowered, it's still producing Tears of the Kingdom and Mario's and things of that nature, right? It's still selling like hotcakes. It's starting to slow down because it is. I think it came out, when did it come out? Like 2013? No, it's not 10 years. It's like 7 years old. So like 2016-ish is when the Switch came out, because it's like a 7-year-old console that was already out of date when it dropped, right? Like the hardware they're using was already stuff that was on the shelf for like a year or two. So it's already behind. So it's not getting ports and things of that nature any longer. It's still selling well because Nintendo games just sell well. Like you got people like me who are going to buy your Zeldas, your Marios. It's going to happen. But what they're showing off is it's still not, obviously they did not take a PS5 or a Xbox Series X and put it into handheld form. It's just not possible. It's not Nintendo's thing, right? They're not going to try to charge you for a $1,200 system. They're a game manufacturing company. It's going to be $300 or $400. That's just what they do. But it's using tech that is able to do DLS 3.1, which is the super sampling technology, which makes games that are being displayed in a lesser resolution, is able to upscale them and make it look very like indistinguishable by the naked eye, right? So they said that they had the Final Fantasy VII remake running on it, and they also had the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo running on it. So it was producing PS5 like graphics on a handheld. So that's it. Again, it's faking it, right? Like it's not actually, the hardware is not there. It's using AI to make this happen, which is a fraction of the hardware for a fraction of the price. So they're thinking that Nintendo might be making a system that can actually keep up with its peers for once. So again, this is all wishful thinking, right? This is what we want. This is probably not what we're going to get, but they're saying it has like 12 gigs of RAM in it, because a big issue with the Switch was that it was like maybe 4 gigs of RAM. That's why it doesn't have voice. Like, so when you do chat and things of that nature, you have to use your phone because the hardware just can't handle it, right? Again, that's not what Nintendo's focused on. They're focused on their first party games, but they're saying that it has the visuals, it has the memory, it could potentially be a near peer, and it might roll out as early as March of next year if they drop the announcement, just like they did for the Switch, like in October the previous year. So like a quick drop, like here's the hardware, we already have some games set up, and the third parties will catch up fairly quickly if this thing's able to be ported to, like they're saying, like where they have Final Fantasy VII Remake running on it already. If it's that easy to port to, then they may have they might finally have a decent console dropping. So everybody's excited in the Nintendo universe.
And you think they'll do that for $300 or $400 when they finally sell it?
So they have no choice on price. Like Nintendo doesn't sell for a loss, and they also don't they never keep up with their peers. Like a Nintendo console that recently is not the same price as any of their peers. Like, so the Switch had PS3 like graphics, still does, and now I think it's 350 for the OLED, 300 for the regular version, like the one I have, the original. Is $300. They can't go past $400. It's just not possible because their peers that have a lot more tech within them are selling for, well, how much is a PS5 nowadays?
It's like 400, isn't it?
I thought it was like five.
Is it five? Ooh, I don't know. That's yeah. It could be.
I think, I don't know, because I bought it a couple years ago, I want to say, but I know around the world PS5 prices have gone up because the it's just, or next gen consoles in general have gone up in price just because it was so hard to find the components. But if this is true and Nintendo's using off the shelf stuff that already exists, but they're using AI on top of it to mimic current graphics, they can easily sell it for the same wheelhouse. They stay within the $300 to $400 pocket.
But it seems like they would go higher because if they are simulating graphics for a console that can't be moved, that's not mobile,
Yeah.
right? Like your PS5, your X and your S,
Yeah.
like you have it in a mobile platform, like that seems like it would be something they could sell for more. And like you said, like they don't go above 400, right? And it's kept them competitive, right?
Yeah, because they're a toy manufacturer, right? That's like they target a younger audience. Like we keep buying stuff because we grew up on Nintendo, but I'm not their audience per se. But if they are able to keep up with their peers and get ports, like I might, it may convince me to buy the games I would get from my Xbox over on the Switch side, only because now it's portable. I can take it with me on a trip. I can, I could play it in bed, which I could take my console upstairs anyway and play in bed, but I don't feel like moving it. It's downstairs, right? Um, so even if they don't match graphics, right? Like even if it's still PS4 graphics, right? On the tail end of the PS4, I'd still be happy with that, to be honest with you. Because the like Z Zelda looks amazing, but Zelda does not look like Starfield. It does not look like Horizon. It doesn't look like those games. Like I'm more impressed. A is stylized, but B because of what it can do on such a small console. But if they're able to get me to buy ports as well, like they might actually shift some of the money I've been spending on Sony and Microsoft, which is barely anything because I'd subscribe to their services, right? But if I were purchasing games and not a subscriber, like they might be able to pull those third parties as well, because that's what Nintendo's missing. Like people buy Nintendo systems for Nintendo games, they don't buy them for ports. So we'll see. I mean, like it had to be a quick turnaround. If they're going to sell this thing in anytime between March and December of next year, they got to start talking about it. So I kind of believe the rumors, and it's being corroborated. Like, hey, these look really good. Like, so again, it's not a PS5 in a small form factor. It's a mobile platform that's able to trick you into believing that this game looks the way it looks. Which as long as it looks that way, I don't care.
And if it shows up on Forbes, I don't know about that, man. Forbes just lets people determine their own value before they write about them, man. So I don't know if you could trust them much.
Well, so they have a dude, I think it's Jason Schreier. So he was a big gaming uh pundit, I guess you would say. Like he got like a lot of inside scoops. He wrote books and stuff like that. Like he was a real journalist in the video game um sphere, so to speak, right? There's not a lot of those, in my opinion. But Forbes hired him, so like he brings to them a lot of that stuff, but it's more of a I would say business centric platform. So whenever Forbes reports on game stuff, it's so far it's been like 100% accurate because he's over there. So but that they haven't dropped an article yet. So I'll believe it to be 100% true when they drop the article. But there are a lot of other reputable sites in the gaming sphere, so to speak, that are cooperating with each other. Like, yeah, like either we talked to somebody who was there or we saw it, yada yada yada. So I'm inclined to believe it because it's not just a one-off guy on the internet rambling.
Okay. All right.
So what again, it had to be a quick turnaround because I was in Sicily when they dropped the Switch stuff. So I was like showing my coworkers they were not gamers, right? Like you see this, like look, it's mobile, it does this, it does that, and like so they dropped that when I was there, and then shortly thereafter, pre-orders opened up, and then I had it like March of that next year. So they quick turnaround, like they don't do a year out type situation anymore. Like Nintendo's pretty quick about like we already have our game set up. Like everyone else, I just have to catch up. So, and with that being said, it'll probably be a bunch of ports, right? Like if we need to get on this console as quickly as possible, then what do we currently have in the pipe for these other systems that we can port over? And typically, it's not apples for apples because Nintendo hardware is grossly underwhelming. It's just that they have like some of the best games on the market out of their first party. So we'll see if they can actually reach parity. It'd be crazy. They haven't done that since the Super Nintendo. That's the last time that Nintendo was like for like with their peers.
Really, it's
Maybe the GameCube, but I don't think so. I think Super Nintendo was the last time where you heard them in the same conversation as Sega at the time and all the others, where it was like this is state of the art.
still kept them afloat though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what they're putting out. Like for me, like the Mario Kart and the Zelda, like I don't mind. Like I will watch things that are more geared towards young. You know what I mean? Like young
Mhm.
people like animated things, but like for playing them, no, not so much for me, right? especially if I'm gonna spend money on it. Like, ah, man, like, show me some blood or something, you know?
Right, right.
Like,
And
yeah.
they do decent ports, right? Like, so I think Mortal Kombat 11 was on the Switch. It didn't look great at all, but it ran, right? So if they could just do more of that, it would cause me to probably pivot. Because right now I call it the Switch tax, right? Like I think that I didn't come up with that myself. That's the internet thing. So like these indie games come out for all the platforms, and usually it's bundled into a Game Pass or a PS Network or whatever they call themselves over there. Um, but to get on the Switch, you're paying full price, right? Because they're not being bundled into any services. But these indie games look just as good or close enough on a handheld that I could take to my bedroom. So now I'm paying full price for a game that I could have got through a subscription service, but I don't feel like lugging my Xbox upstairs. So they call it Switch tax. So I think they'll get a lot more of those purchases if they can get near graphical comparison with their peers, right? Because you're already going to, well, I'm already going to buy it to play the next Zelda because it's going to look amazing anyway, regardless of how much power they put into it. But now I might also buy Mortal Kombat 1. You know what I mean? Like stuff I normally wouldn't buy, but I could just play in my bed. So, so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But I definitely want to get that one in there just in case news breaks. I was ahead of the cycle when the videos start dropping.
So you're trying to get Forbes to hire you. That's what you're saying right now.
Yeah, cybersecurity and video games. Sure, sure. Bring me over. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds on that one. But I think there's no movies dropping this week, so I won't probably have anything I necessarily gonna watch. I know I'm definitely gonna finish the documentary, and then I don't think anything else comes out until like mid-October. Then you get your Castlevania that'll be dropping. And then there's a movie with Jamie Foxx and Journey Smollett or Smollett, however you say her last name, from East Bayou, the little girl from East Bayou. Um, they're in a Prime movie that's coming to theaters and Prime. I think it's like a staggered release, like a week or two. It's like a true, it's based on a true story lawyer movie. So I'll shoot you the link to it. Actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I figured you would have called her out for the what was the Max thing she did with
Oh, back when it was HBO Max, Lovecraft Country.
there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she also did Underground, was a slave like Underground Railroad type show. It was on like either CW or WB, I can't remember. But the what's call it, her the the meme is that if she's on something, it's canceled. Like, because she's not a bad actress at all, but like all the things she gets put into get canceled. So Lovecraft Country, Underground, a few other things. We're like, she's on the project and ain't gonna make it. Even though she's a great actress. So now she's in this. And I was like, oh, if this TV show is canceled, but it's a movie. So I was like, okay,
It
it'll
will
come
be
out.
released. It just might not make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it looks good. It looks real good. So I look forward to seeing it. But I'll shoot you the link to it.
All right. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that had to have been done before Jamie had his medical issues. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yep. But okay, so that pretty much does it for this episode. So for all those who are still with us, I think we're like 45 minutes in, 48 minutes in. Definitely continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, our numbers are going up, so we want our YouTube subscribers to double if possible by the end of the year. So keep that up. Every week we get a couple people, so definitely enjoying that. Um, just being shared, right? Hit us up Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday's discussion. Thursday will either be a Ask a CISSP or a throwback to a older episode that we want to showcase or highlight. And then Friday's everything else. So next week we'll probably talk more about hopefully the Switch stuff, but definitely Apple stuff because Apple will have their conference. So that'll be part of next week as well. So uh, like, share, subscribe, hit a bell if there's a bell involved. Hit us up at all our websites that go by our name. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. Stay safe, stay secure.